Today on Hampton Roads Business Weekly, building a prototype and getting it to market.
Plus, what happens when two companies merge and the business of real estate.
Get ready. Hampton Roads Business Weekly starts right now. Hello and welcome to Hampton Roads Business Weekly, a look at the businesses and entrepreneurs making a difference in Hampton Roads. I'm Cheryl Tan.
And I'm Zach Miller. All right, let's talk cybersecurity. You're doing everything to keep your company from being hacked, but are your employees doing the same?
All right, we're here with Dr. Jeff Heyman of Regent University, talking about how to make their company's teammates or their employees kind of have the process in place to make sure that they're doing things as close as possible to not be hacked and be not as vulnerable. So we were talking about how if you are insourcing, maybe having one person going around and making sure that the computers are every month. What are some other ways to make sure that from an in-house perspective that the company is being less vulnerable?
Excellent question. When everyone is responsible for something, that's another way of saying no one is responsible. Because well, Bob's going to do it, Sally's going to do it.
Yep.
Grab one person with some computer knowledge. If you're insourcing, and put that person responsible in charge of making sure all the operating systems are updated periodically, all the antivirus, check it, make sure it's updated, the signatures periodically, and also find out where all your data is going. If you have 4 terminals, let's say they're desktops right now, and they're all writing data, doing a job. Well, they're doing their job and the employee's doing their job, but where's all the data going? This is the difference between save and save as when you have a Word document. It would be best if you had all that data running to one repository somewhere. It could be a hard drive, next to the printer somewhere, and that is written off some other way to the cloud. This one person's job should also be once a week, I'm just pulling that one out, to back up that on an external hard drive and take it offline. That'll protect you, or at least help you recover from ransomware. So put this person in charge, if you're insourcing, of data backups, patch management, it's called, and antivirus definition updates. Those are 3 easy things that if you don't do, you're out on the net and you're saying yourself you're a big target.
Sure. What is the digital version of plugging in a hard drive to a computer? Clicking a link online?
The online would be, because that URL that you click on a link, let's say it's an email you got, and say, hey, click on this URL, it can do a lot of things. The most nefarious is it establishes some piece of malware in your computer and it will not reveal itself until the person who put it there later on. In the case of ransomware, it could simply shut down that hard drive. It could make it, in the case of the Stuxnet virus, make the centrifuges run out, run too fast and destroy Iran's capability for that time. And that was offline, not via the net. Show caution if you never plug in something you don't know where it came from. In other words, brand new or came from your house. Or you're recycling some of your old data, like you've got 10 weeks of hard drives. Well, you're not going to keep 52 in a year, but maybe 10 weeks is a good level. Maybe the 10th now you recycle that one. You could have reasonable comfort with that.
So I run an event,
Yes.
and I have a lot of speakers that are coming in, and
Yes.
they're going to plug into one centralized place.
That's okay.
I should try and not have them.
No, they can do that, but that computer they're plugging into does not plug into the rest of your network, where either your financial data is stored or your PII. Keep it separate. If that means you have to stand up an old desktop or whatever just so they can do the video conferencing with, then do it. Keep it off the rest of the network.
Interesting. So if I'm a business owner
Yes.
and I think something bad is happening
Yes.
with a computer,
Yes.
what is the first step or the first few steps to?
We're all inclined to want to know who did that to me, how can I find out? Put that aside. If something has happened, this is where a crime, you have to determine if a crime's committed. If a crime's committed, let the forensics people handle that stuff. Your concern is to protect the rest of your network. Because if you're suspicious about something, you probably have a reason to be. I would unplug that device from the network. You can keep it up and running, but unplug it from the network. If it's standalone, I don't care what it does, okay? It's like if you're driving down the road, you go to hit the horn, but you don't. No, hit the horn, that's what it's there for. So if you're suspicious of your desktop has some bad stuff, unplug the Cat5 cable from the back of it,
Sure.
Get it off the network.
Is there something like a credit score tracker for cybersecurity? Or like, is there a way that I can be monitoring this?
I would, you're getting to the point of now you're outsourcing.
Right.
Because very few people are going to outsource just their cybersecurity, because then the cybersecurity guy is going to come in, he's going to say, do a little scan, he's going to give you advice like I'm giving you right now. But at the end of that, it's up to you to implement it. Well, you don't want to do that. So then you're going to talk to an outsourced guy who's going to do the patch management, the antivirus, make sure everything's updated. I would start looking at everything being outsourced. You're asking great questions. For the single business owner, he can probably do it all himself. For the small business owner, the HVAC, the electrical company that's grown into 4 employees, if you have a skilled person, you can still probably do it all yourself as long as you're taking very cautious steps along backups. You get larger than that, I would go the outsource route and write it off on the taxes.
There you go. Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
From Navy SEAL to entrepreneur, hear how Sean Matson uses his skills that he learned in the military to grow a successful company. That's coming up. We're here with Sean Matson, the co-founder of Matbuck, a company that produces innovative products for men and women on the battlefield. Sean, thanks so much for talking with us about your company.
Thank you.
So the idea for your product started in 2006, but the company formed in 2010. You're a former Navy SEAL.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
How did all of this come about? How did you decide you wanted to create these products and start a company?
Sure. My business partner, Zach Steinbach, and I, we were on an airplane flying from San Diego to Alaska during training, and we sat there after building this cargo net pallet that had all of our gear on it, and we were just like, there's got to be a better way. And we sat on the plane. It was an 8-hour flight in the back of a C-130, and the entire time he and I just sat there and were just redesigning and drawing and coming up with this idea that we ended up building out of 550 cord and half-inch and duct tape and staples. So
Right.
that was our first prototype that we ever came up with.
How hard was that to take that prototype, even that idea, even that desire, to something that other people would buy?
The biggest struggle that I've seen in others and ourselves was just the start, right? Like you have to get started. Just like every day you get up and you put one foot forward. It's the same way with a business or an idea. Everybody fails with they have the idea and then they do nothing with it. Or they say, yeah, I thought of that. And it's like, but you didn't act on it. So where we did was we just started it, and it took us from 2006 to 2010 to even come up with a first prototype in terms of like a full scale prototype. Sure. We had this idea that we were going to sell it to a company with this 1/5 prototype, model that was made out of half-inch and duct tape and staples. We thought we could sell this for millions of dollars and just, live the happy life or whatever. And everybody we talked to said, go build a full prototype. Go build this. Go build this. Go patent it. Like you've got a good idea, but you don't have a viable product yet. So that was really kind of after those 4 years of hearing that over and over and over and again, we were like, maybe we should go start a company.
Let me go build it.
Yeah, let me go build it. Yeah. So when we started the company in 2010, that's exactly what we did. We just formed the company to protect ourselves. And then we didn't get that product out onto the market till late 2012.
2017, and you have many more products, a lot more, you have employees.
Yes, ma'am.
So talk about how different your company is today than it was back when you were working with a prototype and trying to figure out how to get it to market.
Sure. So we have 4 subsidiary companies underneath our umbrella right now that we do innovation and technologies that we, like you said earlier, getting them to the battlefield first. So for us, our core is changing the world through innovation. So how do we do that? We find and partner with innovators that have these incredible ideas and then get those to market, help them get them to market. And we offer them a very unique structure where we either go in business with them and become 50-50 partners, or we do a licensing agreement with them on the technology or product, which would be usually about 5 to 10 times what industry standard is. Normally a royalty agreement of 5 to 10%. We're offering a lot of our inventors 50% profit back on their ideas. It's unheard of in the space, but again, we are looking for technologies and innovation that completely change the paradigm shift of what's already out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know you've taken your military training and turned that into something you use in your business to help grow your team. So talk a little bit about how you do that.
Sure. So having the team, right, when I was active duty, we had guys that could do 5 or 6 different things, but their primary role was, maybe a sniper or, a breacher or something like that, but they have other roles in the team. And so I think that having that same model in the business world where you have a guy who's your primary lead marketing guy, but he also knows how to do social media content, he also knows how to do shipping and receiving, he knows how to, draw something on CAD, but that's not his primary role because he's really good at this and he likes that. That's his passion. So having guys that are kind of jacks of all trades and a master of none is always a saying in the SEAL team. So using that same model in business has helped us because one, as you're growing a business, you have to be able to do everything. You can't be afraid to pick up a broom and clean something if it needs to be cleaned because you have the pride in that company. So translating that into the business world is what we've really tried to do with our guys and the different companies that we have.
Well, congratulations on your success, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
Well, thank you.
So could you really merge with someone who you once thought was your competitor? These guys did, and we'll tell you the story next on Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Have you ever started a business and then recognized that maybe you should merge with another? Well, our guests today, Kevin Daisy and Eric Olson of Array Digital, did that exact thing. So the first question, how did you know? Because you guys both had started your own businesses several years ago. They were both decently successful, but then you kind of realized maybe together would be better. How did it come to?
Sure. We were a programming shop, so we did a lot of programming and very kind of hardcore programming, a lot of databases, APIs. But we would get these projects where people needed web design, and they needed SEO, and they needed social media. I think Kevin was in a similar situation where his company, ID Web Studios, was a web design company that did marketing websites. But the moment that anything got a little more complicated than a WordPress website or social media, he had challenges. So we both individually, before we met each other, had challenges fulfilling the entire spectrum of all of the services that our clients needed.
Right.
So we either partnered with someone else that could fill in those gaps, or we would do some of it, or we'd outsource or subcontract, and it was less than ideal. About a year and a half ago, maybe at this point, maybe a year ago, we met each other at an event, an EO event in downtown Norfolk. And I went over and I introduced myself to Kevin, and I told him that I had heard of ID Web Studios before, and just wanted to meet him and see.
Your SEO was working.
That's right.
Just wanted to see if there was any opportunity to do some work together.
And so
we got talking, we got to know each other. Some projects came about that came to me that required exactly what they offered. So I called Eric up, let the client know that, hey, we were going to bring in this other company that I trust. Been talking with them for months. I think they have the skills that we need to get this project done for you. And so we kicked that off. That project went very well. And next thing you know, we have both our companies working side by side together for the next few months. And so as more projects started to come up, we started to talk about this more.
So the cycle kept happening over and over again,
Absolutely.
basically. And then at some point you guys said, hey, maybe we should merge, or?
We were all out to lunch, I think it was, and I said something to the effect of, you realize if we joined forces, we'd kill it. And we all kind of agreed that, yeah, that would be a good idea, but it was super preliminary. It was just kind of said in jest at first. And then it started to come up more and more and more. So as we continued to work on projects, we went from the first project to second to third, and our teams started to actually interact with one another at the staff level. We realized that there actually was an opportunity. So it was literally our skills and their skills coming together to form a new, bigger company.
They say when you have a partner, it's a marriage. How did you guys understand that maybe this would be okay? And also, still both be founders of a business.
Yeah.
Sure, so I'll talk about that. So I feel as if we spent quite a bit of time thinking about this. We worked together for 10 months
Okay.
on multiple, very large projects. And we kind of saw our teams really connecting well. So that was kind of a really good sign. We hadn't had any issues. We hadn't had any falling outs. We had nothing like that was happening. We talked about it. We took our time. We talked about it in October of 2016 about, hey, let's do this. We did not start actually doing anything about it until January the next year.
The actual logistics behind it.
Exactly. So, of course, there's a lot involved. There's wrapping up your books for the end of the year. There's a lot of things that you have to do in a business. We took our time, I feel like. Of course, the day it happened, it was like, wow, this is, seems very sudden, right? There's a lot of work that goes behind it. So I think we took our time, and I think we also realized with a project that came about that we both bid on together, some lessons learned out of that were, we were not at the capacity, we didn't look as transparent to that customer as we would have if we were together.
And so really understanding, getting out of that honeymoon, that this is something that's possible, and then kind of agreeing that's it. But we'll talk about the logistics in part 2 of the merge next week.
How do you diversify your business within one industry? Hear from Austin Frangoulis, a real estate agent who is able to find 3 different tracks within his business. That's coming up on HR Business Weekly. We are talking today about the business of real estate with Austin Frangoulis with Austin James Real Estate. Thanks so much for talking with us about your business today.
Of course.
So you're a real estate agent, and then you were looking for other opportunities within real estate.
Correct.
So talk about how you got into real estate in the first place.
Yeah, so me and my girlfriend, we love watching the show Flip or Flop on HGTV. We're like, hey, you know what? It'd be cool to flip houses. So she was like, why don't you become a realtor? I was like, why not? So I took my license, did all that, became a realtor, got into the field, started doing pretty well, pretty fast, and then I was like, how can I get better, do more things? So I started outsourcing my work, got people to do my paperwork for me. She's amazing, my transaction coordinator. So then that made me focus more on just getting more business. Once I got more business, I had more capital. I was like, you know what, I just don't want my money to sit in the bank and do nothing. So I wanted to start investing. That's how I came across flipping houses and creating the app and website.
Oh, so those are separate things.
Yeah.
As far as your flipping houses business, using what you've learned in the real estate industry, you're working to take homes that need some work, do the work, sell it.
Yep.
So talk about that business and
Just
some
like
of the
flip or flop.
challenges related to it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really awesome taking a house from nothing to something amazing, something that everyone wants, literally like you're on HGTV. The thing is, you run into so many problems. I mean, you just don't know what to expect sometimes. Right. My very last one, the very last week, we came across at least like $7,000 worth of damage that you didn't even think of. Right. So it's a fun but very risky business.
Right. So you have to go in once you find those problems. You have to fix them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did the tech part come from that? As you're working with clients to help them buy homes, and then you're flipping homes. How did this tech piece come into play?
So the tech piece came across because I was working in real estate, and I wanted people to actually work with me because of my personality. And I get everyone because of my personality, not because of my sales. When they find out my sales, they're like, okay, great, I'm glad you sell business. But because of the website and app, I wanted something where people can choose their own realtor based off of their personality and skills. And then just from there, I thought it would create a better atmosphere and a better experience for regular home buyers and sellers.
Kind of like a Match.com?
Yeah, almost a Match.com, LinkedIn,
yeah.
Angie's List, you know, kind of all mix.
And so I know that this is not yet live or soon to be live.
Yeah, soon to be live.
What are some of the challenges in making that happen? Because typically if you're a people kind of person or whatever industry you're in, you're not necessarily the tech part.
Right.
So how did you make that shift?
So I can't create an app, so I had to outsource it. Found a guy in India who can create it. A lot of challenges there. They're about 10 hours ahead of us. Yeah. So a lot of our conversations would be at midnight or at 6 in the morning. We did it just about every single day for about a year. and we discussed creativity, how we wanted to design, and then we would test it out, find the bugs. And I mean, you just find tons of bugs, and then you try it in beta mode where you get the brokerage to try it out. Then you find more bugs and more problems and how I can make it better. And now we're in those final stages to where we ran our last test, found problems that we need to take care of, and made it a little bit more automative, more consumer happy, and it's almost ready.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really
Okay.
excited.
So then that goes out into the market, and more
Yep.
testing happens once
Exactly.
it's out in the real world.
Yeah, exactly. More testing, we'll find more bugs. But it's all part of the process. You fail, and then things get better from there.
So then what would you say as far as advice for people watching if
Yeah.
they want to start a venture? Maybe if even within their industry they're looking for ways to get other streams of income like you have.
Right.
What kind of advice would you give to them?
Definitely, you're going to fail, but you just can't stop. A lot of people have told me it's not going to work out, but you just got to keep pushing through it. And then that's really who comes out on top, the risk takers. It's really all about taking the risk, and with high risk, you get a high reward. If you don't take a risk, you're going to be stay in the same spot your entire life. And I never wanted to work for someone 9 to 5 every day, making 30 grand a year, and someone telling me, hey, you got to be here, then. I was like, no, I want to make my own schedule. I want no cap to how much I can make, and really just be an entrepreneur.
Well, good luck to you,
Oh, thank
and
you.
looking forward to seeing
Yeah.
more about your app.
Thank you. I
Congratulations.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
And with that, we wrap up another edition of Hampton Roads Business Weekly.
Make sure you like us on Facebook and Twitter, then head over to hrbusinessweekly.com to get more information and watch previous shows.
For Hampton Roads Business Weekly, I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. We'll see you next week.
Hampton Roads Business Weekly, sponsored by Regent University and produced by 13 News Now.